Alternative DigiTalk. Real issues, real talk.
Hey Ugandans, I'm Lieutenant Colonel Dewa Kiki, the Deputy Defense Spokesperson and actually the Deputy Spokesperson for the Uganda People's Defense Forces. I was hosted on Alternative DigiTalk. I encourage all Ugandans that this is the way to go. Always watch, participate, give your views and ask questions on Alternative DigiTalk. DigiTalk, the way to go.
Alternative DigiTalk. Real issues, real talk.
A quarter past 7 a.m. It is a cold morning from Makindye, where we're streaming live from in Lukuli sub-county, that is in Konge Parish. Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you to this edition of the Mighty Drive Show. We are back in our mobile studio. It's been a while since we have been here, but we are back and we are reporting, and we would like to inform you that we are better come this year, come this month, come today. Today is the 17th day of January 2022, what the Muganda calls nakuzu omwezi 17 omwezi gwa Gatonya omwaka 2022. We are in a World Cup year, in an AFCON year, in a Kenyan elections year, and we are in a year of prosperity. Ladies and gentlemen, it's about you to decide if you want to be prosperous this year or you want to take the alternative route. But nonetheless, whatever you decide to go for, we are right behind you, and of course we are beside you, and we shall keep serving you as we have been serving you for a couple of years and months right about now. State House has increased its budget from 410 billion to 891 billion. That is 100% and more. I would say 101% increment in terms of the budget allocation for that entity. And of course we have over 230 billion that has been allocated for renovation of state lodges and State House Entebbe. Are we having our priorities right? That is one of the budget allocations in the financial year 2022-2023 that will be starting. That will be in June this particular year. And still to come, we have a traffic officer who was shot in the foot by another gunman that is a member from the UPDF after an accident that happened at Naria yesterday morning at around 5 a.m. as we were breaking dawn. We'll have that story for you. And of course, the express highway also continues to have collections for the people who are using this particular road. In just a space of 1 week since the collection started off, we have 120,000 users using this particular road, some paying from as low as 3,000 shillings to as much as 20,000 Uganda shillings. And maybe lastly, the topical discussion of the day, KCCA and the vendors. That is a question that has been disturbing all of us. Many people saying that the vendors need to vacate the streets of Kampala. But in which way are these vendors vacating the streets of Kampala? That and much more is what you should expect in this edition of the Mighty Drive Show. My name is Karuhanga, Edgar Mathewe, and on behalf of the Alternative DigiTalk, on behalf of the Mighty Drive Show, I would love to welcome you for that. For you who has just joined in, the hour is 18 minutes past 7 a.m. and of course it's very, very cold. So anybody who's planning to enter Kampala district or Kampala city in particular, feel free to carry yourself an umbrella. If you can get yourself a scarf, if you can have yourself a cup of coffee and maybe a jacket, that will help you throughout the day, because it looks like it is raining and it's not going to be stopping anytime soon. Now, allow me to delve into the stories that have been making rounds all over the country and of course, social media. Let's start off with the State House budget that has been allocated for the financial year 2022-2023. Mungeri eno, State House Obama kago mkulembeze weggwanga yoye mukulu Tibuhaburwa Yoweri Kaguta Tibuhaburwa Museveni by allocating the sente mpya oba basaze ku budget betemeddeyo ku kasente ke bagenda okubanga bakozesanga State House ey'omukulembeze bw'eggwanga. Basabye sente eziri mu 889 that is 891 billion okusinzira ku mwaka oguwedde. Abakulu bano bayina sente ezaali mu 410. Naye kati ba operating ku budget ya 889 ekitegeeza ki? Ekitegeeza nti no beeyongeza 100% n'okwongera in fact I would say 101% increment. Kino ebituwo bitera kulabika mu mawanga nga agaffe. In fact mu mawanga agaffe birabika naye mu mawanga agakulaakulanye ebintu ebitera kubanga birabika. Naye mu Uganda tukirabye nga yo State House egamba mu sente zino egenda kujjako obuwumbi 230 okubanga basasula obweyamo bw'omukulembeze w'eggwanga bwazenga akola okuva mu mwaka gwa 1986. So that means waliwo promises omukulu ze yakola okumala kati emyaka 35 naye badde tebazituukirizanga. So babala in this financial year bagenda kubanga batuukiriza ku bweyamo buno. N'endala ziri no mu classified budget eri under the State House budget. So ebintu webiti oluusi classified ezo sente zebatwogera wawe ziraga nengo ino okukimanya nti no ziba zigenze mu kubanga zikulembeze gwanga n'ebintu ebirala bagala kubanga renovating State House Entebbe, then babenga baddaabiriza. That's how they call it. Bagenda kubanga baddaabiriza State House Entebbe ne state lodges ezenjawulo ezesuulidde mu ggwanga eddamba. So mu ngeri eyo beetaagayo sente ezikunukkiriza mu 891. Wemba kugamba obuwumbi bannange mu kawumbi kamu mulimu obukadde 100, mu kakadde kamu mulimu obw'omutwalo 100. So wobala mu kawumbi kamu ekitegeeza mulimu obw'omutwalo. Sente ennyingi zetwogerako. So wobala from that perspective, you realize nti omuntu okusaba billions 891 ziba billions nyingi. That is a lot of money. Kyetwebuuza kigenda mu maaso lwaki sente zino abantu abamu baagala okubanga bazeddiza. So story gye tutandikiddeko, ye president agamba nti office ye yeetaaga sente zino okubanga bali renovating State House ey'Entebbe ebeerenga etuuka ku mutindo gwa State Houses endala mu Africa. Jjukira State House erina okubanga equatinga ku kye bayita a 5-star hotel. Nti oba oli mu kuzimba amaka g'omukulembeze w'eggwanga galina kubeera nga zino zibayita zi 5-star hotel. Mu Uganda muno nze saagala kukkiriza nti no tulinamu 5-star hotel. Wobo ogendera ddala ku kye bayita a definition of a 5-star hotel. Mu Uganda tetunagifuna naye ba Pearl of Africa kimanyi bangi kumwe mugamba tulina Serena, tulina Pearl of Africa, tulina Fairway, tulina hotels ez'enjawulo naye nga wozitululyamu webangeri gye baequatingamu 5-star hotels zino zibeera ziri ku 4-star. 5-star tuba tetunnagituukako wano mu ggwanga erya Uganda. So president w'eggwanga asabye embalirira bamuwe obuwumbi obukunukkiriza mu 891 okubanga yeekolako yenga omukulembeze w'eggwanga ne amaka g'obukulembeze abw'eggwanga. Tuveeko kaawo amakya g'olunaku olw'eggulo ku ssaawa zabadde nga ssaawa 11 ez'okumakya 5 am twalabye akabenje akabadde wali enaalya kumpi n'essundiro ly'amafuta abalimanyi essundiro lya Kobili nakuzo Kobili yafuuka Rubis sirishuwa oba balikyusa naye eryo kwaga amafuta gennyini essundiro eriri enaalya eriri ku naalya nga ku roundabout abalimanyi ng'oyambuka bw'oti okudda saidi za is Nigeria oba odda Namugongo oba odda Namugongo I think. So olunaku lw'eggulo emmotoka ya PDF ndowooza mugiraba mu footage awo omwami olwa abadde bagivuga kuba tetunategeera ani yadde agivuga naye abadde bagivuga olunaku lw'eggulo batomedde ku ssundiro ly'amafuta eryo naye ne bavaamu emmotoka ne bagisuula awo ku ssaawa 11 ez'okumakya. Amakyago wa traffic yabadde ayagala kubanga emmotoka eno bagitowinga bagitwale ku poliisi we wajidde kabangali y'abasajja bano abakwata mundu aba UPDF oba badde bambadde ebyambalo bya UPDF ne bakuba amasasi mu bbanga ne bamala ne bakuba amasasi agamu agakutte traffic officer mu kugulu olunaku lw'eggulo ku makya. Mu ngeri eyo badde bagamba bawakanya ekyokutwala emmotoka eno ku poliisi nga bagamba emmotoka etwaliwe embuya ku UPDF barracks. So mu ngeri eyo owa traffic omu ye yalumiziddwa ne tugamba bannange oluusi ebintu ebimu bye tukola tulina okwekomako ffe nga bannayuganda okubanga tukyusa because you cannot just shoot at someone because akola omulimu gwe because as a traffic officer he is mandated by the law to do what he is doing. So sometimes we need to just sit back and find a consensus. We find a line that unites both of us. You, the traffic officer, the UPDF commander or the UPDF soldier, and the victim who may have been someone who had knocked this car into a petrol station. So you don't have to just put guns out because these days we are having a rhetoric that is growing that you can just shoot anyhow. Chovoya mawulia nakuzo mwezi 18 nakuzo mwezi 19 nga tulaba abakwata mundu nga bashootinga mu bantu ate ne bagamba stray bullets. What is the definition of a stray bullet? When you're shooting a bullet, it has to be aiming at something. So abamba akubi wa traffic ate nga umanyi there is a system when time reaches nga mutandika okwekuba nga mumanya that is the beginning of the downfall of your entity or your enterprise. So chiche tuogerako abakuuma dembe abakwata mundu leka tube responsible enough mu bintu bye tubanga tukola tubanga tushootinga tubanga tuli mu kola emirimu gyaffe leka tutegere mbu n'oli ali ku mulimu gwe jukira wano wa traffic eyakubibwa omwami Mathewe Chaligonza Major General Mathewe Chaligonza ambassador wa Uganda I think mu Burundi kati omwami oyo Mathewe Chaligonza yakwata nakubo wa traffic omukyala nga amulanga kumuyimiriza mu kubo. I think this impunity and this overrated importance should actually be reduced to some extent. And I'm talking about these things in a realm of the country is developing. We're having a future generation that is growing up. What standards are we setting for them? Because it looks like we are degenerating a society to the last man standing, and that calls upon violence, which molds not a very, very good example for our children and our great-grandchildren that are yet to come. So that is one thing. Discipline is paramount. UPDF has been boasting for them being one of the most disciplined entities in this country. Where is this discipline this time round? So we have to ask ourselves those questions if we are to develop as a country and if we are to develop as a society. 26 minutes past 7 a.m. You are still watching the Mighty Drive show. I'll be joined by Tulyahabwe later on in the show, and maybe Miss Kaka Izerida, who is on her way. I'm not sure under this very, very cold morning if she will be able to make it, but if she does, that will be an added advantage, and we'll be talking about some of the increasing economic prices and economic crisis in the country. Watogeranga mafuta gali kunusu kanana in some parts of the country, especially Hoima, which is also ironical. Okubanga Hoima, the city that is endowed with a lot of fuel, atekati mafuta gasinzo okubanga ge economy gali mu mutwalo gumu 12 per liter. That is very 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 threatening. Borders watogeranga ezo 10 tezikyakola tokyasobola kulinya border ku nusu 10 due to the fuel prices. Then wotunulyamu sente za sabuni, wotunulyamu school fees, wotunulyamu ebintu engeri gye byekanamye. Lwaki every after an election ebyokwekanama tubiraba mu ggwanga lino erya Uganda, and how best can we solve? Watogeranga fuel reservoirs eziri mu ggwanga lino zonna zaakalidde. Ne constitution eyogera ku oil reservoirs zino ngegamba bannange tulina okubanga tulina amafuta at any time. Nti ne baba tusibye nga tetusobola afuna amafuta okumala emyezi tugambe nga 6, tulina amafuta agasobola turunning for a full year as a country nga tetunadda mu crisis bweziti. Crisis bweziti zitera okuleeta enkyukakyuka mu government abadde tibakimanyi, nsaba nammwe mukirowoozeeko. Nga tuvaako awo tugendeko ku ekkubo lya expressway. Waliwo ekkubo lya expressway lyali commissioned I think in 2016 lyagwa ennaku z'omwezi I think gwali omwaka oguwedde, in fact 2019 an expressway weyagwera naye etandise okubanga ecollectinga sente omwaka guno gwenyini wiki ewedde. Mu wiki emu ewedde emmotoka mitwalo 12 zezakoseza oluguudo luno lwe luguudo oluyita wali emunyonyo ne lugwa ekajjansi ne luyitamu ekajjansi ne luvuga paka Entebbe, tusobola okuvuga paka Fort Portal waffe luyitamu ne lutuuka I think Naalya Ejjinja kwegamba expressway nayo nno luguudo nno lulungi baalukola naye nga twogeranga lwe luguudo olusinga ebbeeyi mu nsi. It's the most expensive road in the world. Oba bulo baalukolesa zaabu simanyi naye nga kusasula kwatandise emmotoka ez'enjawulo zisasula. Tutandikira ku bodaboda yeteyitako naye nga pichipichi eyise ku expressway eno erina okusasula 13,000, emmotoka ya buyonjo esasula 15,000, emmotoka eya kyebayita ebyamaguzi esasula omutwalo gumu, then n'emmotoka zino ennene ddala nesasula emitwalo 2 okubanga okozesa. Jjukira kati National Ministry of Roads and Works and Transport eyagala kubanga designatinga abantu basobola okusasula mu wiiki n'ogamba nze sasula lumu tiketi yange ya wiiki namba, oba n'ogamba ngenda sasula tiketi yange ya mwezi mulamba, oba oli muntu akosa oluguudo olwo buli lunaku. So balina engeri gye bagenda okubanga bakusalirako ku nsimbi zino okubanga naawe obanga tonyigirizibwa nnyo omuntu akozesa oluguudo luno buli lunaku entakera. Abantu abava Entebbe buli lunaku nga bajja okukolera e Kampala ate ne baddayo. Yes, mu ggwanga lino tulina abantu abakolera ne mu district nga Mityana buli lunaku nno ng'avuga okuva Mityana n'ajja paka mu Kampala city. Tulina n'abantu abakola from as far as Mubende, abantu abakola from as far as Wakiso, Kachiri, bangi nnyo abavuga amafuta gaabwe okuva ewala paka okuyingira mu kibuga. So tulina n'abava Entebbe. Abava Entebbe bagenda kubanga babakoleramu mu ngeri ennungi okubanga luguudo luno lusobola okubanga lubayamba. So oluguudo luno tugenda lusasulira emyaka 13. Contract yaffe erabika egenda kubanga eggwako mu mwaka gwa 2032. Yes, tugenda okubanga tusasula oluguudo luno okubanga tusasula eggwanga liri erya China eryatukolera. Naye nno wemba bali mu business lumungi akufuna time wano mbanyonyole mu business eno ey'amawanga nga China, because kati China ekwata yo tegenda yeta sente apase, egenda yeta raw materials eja shippinga akola siko banakozesa eja shipping obupande buli kimu kye banakozesa mu kuzimba bajja kishippinga waabwe. Juka balina a lot of excess human resource nayo ne bagireeterako baleetako n'abantu abanazimba oluguudo luno. So at the end of the day babanga abaleese kye bayita oba surplus goods zaabwe ne baleeta ebintu ebibadde byeko eri ne bajja ne babizimbamu oluguudo ate ne basigala nga balufunamu ensimbi ennyingi ng'ate baluzimbye mu ggwanga eddala. That is how countries develop in the end of the day. Olunaku olwaleero tugenda kuba nga twogerako ku KCCA ne ba vendors oba ab'obutale babagobye ku nguudo babagamba temulina kutundira ku luguudo naye ate bo bagamba tunaatunda tutya. So ebyo tugenda kuba tuyogerako n'omukulu Rogers Tulyahabwe naye ndooza nga mmaliriza kanjogere ku story ya Hima Cement. Hima Cement olunaku lwabadde lwa 6 omuliro gwa fire outbreak yabaddewo oba omuliro gwakute kampuni eno abantu basatu bafiiriddewo mu njege eno ate abantu 8 bo ne bakosebwa bya nsusso bagamba nti wabaddewo tanks ez'amafuta ga diesel ezabadde mu kampuni eno naye ate nga waliwo ne bookeza ebyuma kumpi awo so mu kwokya ebyuma kirabika waliwo ekyamisinze oba ekyamiss firinze omuliro ne gukwata tanks zino so ezakute tanks zino ne kibaluka era ababadde eyo ndoza nga mu video muuli abataddeko ne fire alarm in fact yetaddeko automatically kubanga omuliro gwakute ne gwabika in one part of the company oba the industry. This is in Kasese district by the way jetwogerako eno ne kwata omuliro abantu basatu bambi ne bafiirawo oba entamu zaabwe ne zivuunikibwa right there era ndoze emyoyo gyabwe mukama agiramuze kisabba abantu 8 bavuddewo ne injuries company ye yagambye mbu eri mu kukirabamu because their utmost goal is to have their human resource nga bali bulungi so tekibakwasa sanyu oba tekibasanyusa okubanga abantu abamu bafiira mu njega bweti so hima cement tubasabireko abantu we batyo ndoza ye kyabazinga wa Busoga bagala kuba nno nga bamujjamu obwesige omuzungu kyayita impeaching wetwogera nga bagala ku impeachinga kyabazinga Gabula Wilberforce Nadiope omusajja oyo nze mutano okabaka naye omuvubuka musajja ine swaga musajja munyirivu mugogofu nnyo so bagala kubanga bamujjamu obwesige nno aba chief ba Busoga boto banyumiza aba chief 6 ku ba chief 11 abalina okubanga bakujjamu obwesige bo bakkirizganyiza dda bagala Gabula Wilberforce Nadiope abenga ava ku ntebe ey'Obusoga bagamba lwaki ensonga zino wammanga he tasula mu Royal Palace okibagambe he does not live in the designated Royal Palace then he makes palace decisions from an individual perspective. He has personalized the kingdom property and has also refused to leave the throne after 5 years, which was agreed in the first agreement. Jagena fuga emyaka 5 badde mu balonde kyabazinga omupanga ono afuna abantu abatekinga care na bagamba gwe labirira namulondo nga bwe tunoonya kabaka oba omutuufu bo mu ngeri yawe kyeka gibadde bategeeza kuba bagamba agenda fuga emyaka 5 nga bebetereza nga abo bwa kabaka naye tebyasobose era bo etwogereranga abasajja bano bagamba Gabula Wilberforce Nadiope abenga ava mu buyinza naye kino kinasoboka kubanga Gabula Wilberforce Nadiope yalabikanga ba African leaders abalala bajja okutekinga wabaze nti agenda kubanga akulemberako akadda akatono olusi batera okutwala obudde bwabwe ate onojjukira mukulembeze wa nnono ate omukulembeze wa nnono amala kufa okulonda omulala ate omusikawo abeera kumpi mwana we so kirabika it is what they call a very long shot katusubye katutunule tulabe kye kinagenda mu maaso in terms of Gabula Wilberforce Nadiope and his impeachment. Will this be a success? I don't think it's going to be a success, but who am I to judge? I am just Edgar Mathewe Karuhanga. Thank you so much for watching the Mighty Global News Updates. It has been a pleasure giving you some of the news. Remember, I have a lot of stories. One of the stories that Togedeko, Otogeranga, Echidi Mubungereza, Omusajja Boris Johnson, bagala kubanga bamu impeachinga. Boris Johnson, officier, oba abantu bakola nabo, bategeka akabaga, ndoza mu time ya COVID-19 mujjukira mu mwaka gwa 2020 so bamala okutegeka kana akabaga in fact bategeka obubaga bubiri akasoka ndoza kaliyo May nakuzo mwezi 2 yes that was the first wakati wa lockdown nga abantu bali mu kufanga Prince Philip bawa n'abakyala wa Bungereza nga afudde jukira eggwanga lyonna likyali mu kubanga linyolwa kufa kwa Prince Philip yafe ekirwadde kino ekyalumima mawugwe ekya COVID-19 so omukyala n'abagereka akyali mu kunyolwa naye nga Boris Johnson ne banne bali mu kukola pate bali mu kunywa mwenge waliwo kapate ke bakola ke bayita come with your own booze abazungu nno weba bakole ebyabwe tebalinga ffe wano otegeka omukolo buli omu ajja na lubuto n'ebirabo ennaku zino tebakyaleeta naye abazungu bo batera nnyo okubanga balina ekintu kye bakola baclassifyinga ne bagamba owezze ku pate bweti jangu n'omwenge gwo so bajja bakola come with your booze pate ne bakola ne pate ez'enjawulo wali ku Downing Street office ya Prime Minister so mu ngeri eyo ababaka mu lukiiko lwa Parliament olwa Bungereza bagamba bagala kujjamu omwami ono obwesige Boris Johnson otogeyanga ababaka 67 ku buli 100 bamaze ddo okubanga abeeyamu okubanga bajjamu omwami ono obuyinza. So Boris Johnson ali kuchocha wetwogerera kati atejukira abangereza boto banyumiza tebalinga mu America yaja gamba president tujja kumuyimpeachinga tujja kuswala asigala ye president naye ate babo bamanyi balina n'abagereka waabwe. So gwe prime minister baba bakulabanga kintu kyonna, they just see you as a by the way. So Boris Johnson ali mu hot soup. I don't know muyinza olowooza bino byonna byavudde kweyo story y'okuba nti bakola bu party oba bubaga mu time ya lockdown. Naye ate nno abazungu abamu ababungereza babadde balina obusungu bwabwe inherent, balina obusungu bwabwe buli inherent nga bagamba nti Boris Johnson ono yabajja mu European Union ne n'abagereka yitayagala bave, sorry, ne n'abakyala Queen yitayagala bave nga bava mu European Union naye omwami Boris Johnson n'abajjayo. So bintu nno bamuyinako obusungu nno bungi. So Boris Johnson alabika yetagenda kubanga abugumye embooge wali mu parliament eyeggwanga lino erya Bungereza. Banaye ntute dakika nyingi zizino ndaba ziri 3 zezaketa kusawe mwe yokumacha mwebale kubanga mwekumide program The Mighty Drive. Tugenda kubanga tuumulamu katono wetukomawo ngenda kubanga negative wako mwami Rogers Tulyahabwe tuwogere ku the economic crisis in the country today. Lwaki amafuta gekanamye, buli kimu kyekanamye, owa boda bannange, toilet papers eyongedde, sabuni, everything is costly today. What are some of the solutions we can find as the generation that is here today to fight these particular challenges, to see that we become better as citizens? Then we shall also talk about KCCA and the vendors, and maybe lastly we shall be looking at the Chabazinga of Busoga, Gabula Wilberforce Nadiope. Will he be impeached, or this is just a run for his money? Let's go for a short commercial break. When we come back, The Mighty Drive continues. Good morning.
Alternative DigiTalk. Real issues, real talk.
Hey Ugandans, I'm Lieutenant Colonel Dewa Kiki, the Deputy Defense Spokesperson and actually the Deputy Spokesperson for the Uganda People's Defense Forces. I was hosted on Alternative DigiTalk. I encourage all Ugandans that this is the way to go. Always watch, participate, give your views and ask questions on Alternative DigiTalk. DigiTalk, the way to go.
Nze omubejjalu wedde Lilian mbaniriza maka gaffe amajja era nga wano tugenda okubanga tukolera programu yaffe emanyiddwa nga The Voltage gaba masanyalaze gennyini era nga twogera ku bintu ebyenjawulo omonno mwe muli ebigenda mu maaso mu ggwanga, ensonga z'ebyobufuzi n'obukulembeze bw'eggwanga Uganda, twogera ku nsonga ez'abavubuka, eddembe ly'obuntu awamu n'ebyenkulaakulana. Togisubwa buli lunaku olwokutaano eba ssaawa emu ey'akawungeezi paka ssaawa 3 ez'ekiro.
The Diaspora Link buli lwakuna sawa 11 paka sawa emu ey'olweggulo ye program gye tukuleetedde wano ku Alternative DigiTalk Uganda. Tugenda batutunulira embeera z'Abannayuganda baganda baffe bannyinaffe zibawangaaliramu mu mawanga ag'ebunaayira. Bangi banyigirizibwa, bangi bakosebwa, bangi bayisiddwamu amaaso. Naye tugenda batutunulira engeri gye tusobola okulongosaamu embeera zaabwe. Tugenda kuba tulaba abo abakwatibwako abateekeddwa okuba nga balongoosa embeera zineeno. Tosubwa buli lwakuna n'omuweerezaawo Nixon Segawa.
Hello everyone, my name is Abdulatif and I welcome you to the Hotline Show here at the Alternative DigiTalk.
as we discuss issues of national importance. Join us every Monday, 7 to 9 p.m. and see who will be occupying these seats here with us. Keep it DigiTalk. Real issues, real talk.
Alternative DigiTalk. Real issues, real talk.
Welcome back from that short commercial break. This is the Mighty Drive Show. My name is Karuhanga Edgar Mathewe. That is how this gentleman, Andrew Mwenda. Welcome to the DigiTalk. My name is Andrew Mwenda and we are streaming live from Kampala, Uganda. This is Market Division. Today we're going to be... ladies and gentlemen, that was just a joke. Welcome back from that short commercial break. My name is Edgar Mathewe Karuhanga and I've been joined by a gentleman who is a self-proclaimed, what should I say? A self-proclaimed intelligent man. But you proclaim yourself.
These are the people who proclaim themselves intelligent and not actually.
Yes, that is the thing.
So I didn't proclaim
but
myself.
you are brilliant.
Thank
I
you.
would
Now
say.
that is an
Yes.
for me.
Roger Tulyahabwe is a journalist, he's a lawyer, and he's a self-proclaimed intelligent man. And with me today, we're going to be talking about the different things that have made the week, the different stories. Maybe before we delve into the stories, how is your morning? It's very cold.
It's very cold.
I'm see if you see people's statuses right now, you know
but we are in the age we are.
Yes.
We are single people. We have to accept the discomfort.
How has being single come into this
It
equation?
has to be, because if you're single, it means you have to plan for the future and you have to accept the discomfort of moving in rain and being here at this time. But also, you
It's not about you being single, it's more about you serving the country.
Exactly, which is why
because even if we were married, I would still be here serving.
Yeah, probably.
Yes, because that is
People change priorities when they marry.
Yes, Uganda sebo. Babuze mu Luganda.
I am not a Muganda. Ladies and gentlemen, now show me really is over Mighty Drive. My name is Roger Tulyahabwe. I'm glad to be hosted by this gentleman. Yeah, by the way, I hail from Chenkwazi, so ladies and gentlemen, our Chenkwazi in Baramcha Mweno Komuri. I don't have so much to say in my language.
You don't have a lot to greet.
Yeah.
These days, even, you know, there is something, before we delve into the stories, connections. In this era, have you realized that these days, love has lessened, connection between families has lessened? Like it used to be in the 80s, in the 90s. While you were growing up, don't you remember, most of your aunties would come home, your uncles, right? And they would even spend nights. For me, I grew up in a society where we had every time uncles. We had guests at our place.
Full time.
But these days, you can be at your place and you don't have a guest in 3 months.
Because it was socialism. Is it called socialism?
Socialism?
That's the Chinese thing, communism kind of
and
thing.
Socialism is the same.
It was socialism and communism back then. Now we are in a capital era.
So it's
where everything is materialistic. You have to look at what are you incurring for someone to be at your place, which wasn't the case way back. But there are a lot of different drivers that have brought about that. There have been scarcity of resources right now. And population increase obviously means resources are going to be scarce, and that means you have to economize the way you live. So you have to stretch in, not out.
Yeah,
so
I'm
obviously
talking about
it means
the connection, connection yaberangawo. Nti ngomanyi you have an uncle who's backing you out there. You have an auntie abatulaba ndoza namwe mukijjukira. Don't you remember those times? There was a lot of life. In these days, I feel we have a lot of plastic relationships.
That's right.
I'm your friend because I work with you. I'm not your friend. If I wasn't working with you, I would not be your friend, ordinarily. That is why you can have people and you work with them, but when you break off, I feel like we have a lot of plastic relationships in this era. Naye tujja kubanga tukyusa katwogere ku byatuleese olunaku olwaleero. Embeera y'obulamu yeekanamye, embeera y'ebyensimbi yeekanamye, amafuta geeyongedde ebbeeyi. Wetwogeranga amasundiro agamu gali mu lita omutwalo gumu 12,000. Ezo ordinarily zina kuba lita 3. In fact zina kuba 4. Kubanga amafuta galiko wano ku nusu 13,000. Wetwogera gali ku mutwalo gumu 12,000. Amasindiro agamu wano mu ggwanga gali mu 7,8. Seza sabuni omuti ogwali ogw'13,000 kati gwa 15,000. Toilet paper zayongedde everything. Borders. I am boarding borders, and even a border from here to there is 2,000. There is no border of 1,000. Rogers, how did we get to a point? And maybe to give you a context, after we come from an election, we have seen repeatedly that there is always an economic crisis ahead. In 2016, we saw in 2017 what happened after 2016 elections. In 2011, in 2012, that was one of the most frustrating years. In 2006, 2007 was very, very bad, and it was coupled with chogam and coupled with stealing. So what am I trying to show you, Rogers? That every after an election year, Uganda has to go in that abyss of economic turmoil. How do we, in fact, where did you go wrong? How did you get here?
Ordinarily, someone out there who probably doesn't follow the sequence of events wouldn't look at politics as a driver of this. But it is. Now, when we get to fuel being so high, first of all, we have leaders who think we have a liberal economy where people can set their own prices, which is a problem.
Very, very big problem.
There should be some bit of regulation. Two, the political will. Ordinary. Now we have a state house that wants to renovate, that needs $12 billion to renovate state houses and state lodges up country. Yeah?
You're talking about dollars here.
Dollars, yes. $1 billion? Billion Uganda shillings.
That is a lot, because when you talk about...
I think it's 12 billion
billion Uganda shillings. But it's not even... They have increased their budget from 410 billion to 891 billion. That is 101.
Twice the amount. More than twice the amount.
You get, it's I think twice the amount, more than twice. Yes. That is what you're saying. Very, very. It is really critical.
And the way we get there now, the prices are hiking. Ordinarily, it also goes to how much we prioritize in our national budgeting and resource allocation. If we have state lodges, when they put out that they would need 12 billion Uganda shillings to renovate, country lodges, my friend from Kabale said there's a state lodge here that Museveni never goes in, that is always renovated every year. Even when he is in the area, he goes to hotels. He sleeps in hotels.
He doesn't sleep in the state lodge.
Yeah. So we have a lot of those in the upcountry places where most of the times they are renovated or the money is allocated and misused. So in the prioritization where we don't have priority or as of national growth, you will see crises and money being misallocated, and then crises like fuel will come up, because then you're not looking at the big picture. You're looking at short-term goals.
But then, Rogers, one would say you're being projective or futuristic, because as you're speaking, the allocation of the 891 billion is slated for this year's financial year. That is starting in June. Why should we have economic increments in January? Yet it's just like something they are thinking about. It's just State House requesting for this money. It is not yet into action. But where the price is increasing, yet these guys are just, maybe if you're talking about those, they're just projections. They're not yet reality.
I was bringing it to the perspective of how do these things usually increase.
Yes.
Sometimes it's because they are not given priority that much. So priority is diverted and given to different other areas. But going back to the fuel prices, they are saying the Ministry of, Minerals? Ministry of Minerals and I think Development, something like that, Resource Development, something like that. They mentioned that the reason why there is scarcity of fuel is because of the queues at the borders and COVID vaccination of those truck drivers, which could be an issue. And they also pointed the problem at the fact that before the opening of reopening, consumption of fuel was not the same as when they opened, which I feel like is a scapegoat. They are scapegoating. So if you're looking at a problem, usually the use of the leaders and government is to look at what might happen. If they are accused at the border, obviously that would mean that it would lack fuel. Wouldn't they find an alternative idea, a way to keep these things up? Because when fuel prices go up, everything else goes up. We are in the time when people are taking their children back to school, where the economy is dying down, and then we have fuel prices going up. So it's only adding salt to the wound. So I think the whole problem is on planning, in my opinion. I think the issue is on planning, that the leaders did not project, look at the probable consequences.
What is their only job? What is their only job? Their only job is to project,
which they have not
to think
done.
For the country.
Exactly. So the problem is planning.
But then let's talk about another aspect. The Constitution of Uganda mandates that the oil and fuel reservoirs have to be full, so that maybe if such a thing came, is that the queue, if the queue is very long, which is one of I feel the vague excuses that the queue is long at the border. Yes, you know it's long. You should know that it is long. How then do you solve this challenge before it actually occurs? How do we reach a point that the oil reserves in Jinja are empty? This story broke I think a week or 2 weeks ago. Rogers.
Yes.
It broke 2 weeks ago. Nebagamba bannange. Oil reservoirs amafuta mwe galina okubeera mu ggwanga lyaffe lino tegaliimu ne bakyogerako. It was run on national television. And then you still say 2 weeks down the road you're still having a problem
of queues. Again. It goes to planning. Yeah. Because if we don't look at, we have, Hoima is the oil-rich region.
Yeah, and it is the region that has the hiked prices. The hiked prices. The highestly hiked prices, if that one is there.
And most of the times we want to look at the area leaders of certain places that they have not done much. You would ordinarily blame Hoima and all that if it was a different scenario.
Yes.
But now this goes to the national planning. We've had COVID for 2 years down the road now.
Yes.
Couldn't they see that if something would happen like this, if truck drivers weren't vaccinated in time, a crisis like this would happen eventually?
It is not even more about the vaccination. It's like the COVID testing. They've lately removed the COVID testing, according to the Ministry of Health. They are going to be testing these gentlemen for free. But then ordinarily, they were requesting for $35 to test them, which they reduced to $25, I think. But then the problem is still there, even after saying that they are going to do free testing, because free testing I think started a week ago. But why is it that prices have not changed even up to now?
Because the fuel is not yet here, and still it goes to planning. First of all, there was no plan for those truck drivers. Second, there was no plan even when that problem came. I don't know, it was like the same problem that's on the express. You will find a queue because people are doing manually the work of giving people certificates who are going through the road. Why can't we make the system simple, automated, if that should be? Like
how it is at the airport?
Like it is at the airport. So it goes.
So that is how it is at the expressway.
It is, well, one person told me, who was driving through express, that you'd find a queue from way back because someone is manually trying to record the car, find a certificate, write it down, and then give it to you. Which still goes back to the problem of planning. Because ordinarily, if the issue was that queue would happen, you would automate it. And now you see that the problem is intensifying. Now, when we go to this whole truck issue, it would be ordinarily simple that the queuing, the process they are using is bringing the queues. That is putting the country in crisis. Couldn't they try to intensify the idea, the approach that they are using, which also goes back to planning? Because if, for example, the facilities were small, they could try to make a temporary adjustment where too much, a multitude of those truck drivers could be tested at the same time. That means we'd at least have a little bit of an inflow of fuel. That means we'd keep the crisis a little bit, and the country afloat. So I think it's also it's all a problem of planning. That even when a problem happens, they are not looking at the simple temporary solutions that could try to sustain us as we try to fight the crisis.
Or we have people who are trying to treat the symptoms, not the disease.
How do you mean?
I'm meaning that twina abantu nga bo chimala kubeerawo nibagamba omutwe gunnuma miraye mpeke. You get? I think that is the kind of system we have. We don't have people who sit down and think for a country, Rogers. Nti eggwanga ligenda kutambula litya. Okitegeera?
Bajja kiguddewo.
Wali amawanga kati nga amawanga kale nkimanyi tetusobola kutuuka ku ggwanga nga US. Naye waliwo amawanga nga gatuula wansi. They have people who think for the country. Okitegeera? Nti kati amafuta ganaatera okugwa mu reserves twetaagayo amafuta wali. Okitegeera? Like they are always thinking. In Uganda we wake up when the problem is there. That is when we see when a bomb goes out, you're going to see many and many kids being arrested. Some even if they don't know, banonyani go tunakwata. Mangu.
So the problem is trying to do quick fixes when the problem has happened already.
Yes.
So which is, again, I will stick to the same point. It's improper planning, short-sightedness.
Gullibility.
Yeah.
What my boss calls gullibility.
Yes. So I think it's the same problem.
Yes.
That the people who are in places of leadership and decision making are not using it to plan for the country. They are like us. When the problem hits, we run towards it and then
I think
see how to control it.
I think it's more of an African problem. Africans like to solve that thing that has, you know,
to not plan.
Yes, to not plan. Let me say, like when you tell an African insurance, they're like, you're stealing my money. You are stealing my money, but you are the one who's insured.
NSSF?
You're stealing my money.
Why are you taking my money?
Where are you taking my money? Like for us, we want to go to hospital for a blood checkup when we are sick. Umazo kulwala bukutadde wanseeka ngende mudwale. Ninga tugenda genda mudwale just for a normal checkup. And those are not edakika ndaba ziri 2 ezibulayo okwera sawa 2 ez'okumakya. It's time we take a short commercial break. But when we come back, I'm going to be asking Rogers, what does this mean to the political, in the political arena? Tusobola okulaba maybe any change, because we have seen most of revolutions being sparked off by things like these, and I have been hearing of that talk. Isn't this reason enough to start a revolution? Things like that. What does this mean to the country? And maybe later we shall talk about the KCCA vendors and how we can have a consensus between government and these vendors. How can they stay working and working in the right places, but not working in the wrong places, which KCCA says that is where they are, working from. And maybe lastly, we shall be talking about the Chabazinga of Busoga, Gabula Wilberforce na Diope. Omukulu ono, there is an impeachment plan going on in his region. That and much more is what you should expect in the next hour of the Mighty Drive. My name is Karuhanga Edgar Mathewe. I am with Rogers Tulyahabwe, Teddy Tenjo Nabukera, Jeremiah Muchivi, and Arnold Mokose Anthony. Let's go for a short commercial break right about now.
Alternative DigiTalk. Real issues, real talk.
Hey Ugandans, I'm Lieutenant Colonel Dewa Kiki, the Deputy Defense Spokesperson, and actually the Deputy Spokesperson for the Uganda People's Defense Forces. I was hosted on Alternative DigiTalk. I encourage all Ugandans that this is the way to go. Always watch, participate, give your views, and ask questions on Alternative DigiTalk. DigiTalk, the way to go.
Nze omubejja luwedde Lilian mbaniriza maka gaffe amajja era nga wano tugenda okuba nga tukolera programu yaffe emanyiddwa nga The Voltage gaba masannyalaze gennyini era nga twogera ku bintu ebyenjawulo omwo nno mwe muli ebigenda mu maaso mu ggwanga ensonga z'ebyobufuzi n'obukulembeze bw'eggwanga.
Ready? Okay, let's serve Uganda. As promised, we deliver. We are redefining the social media narrative, asking tough questions and holding your leaders accountable. We are non-partisan and break down having a conversation with Uganda.
We are TheMightyDrive. We hold debates that give you viable solutions. We bring to you people that Ivora is wanting to listen to. We are gender sensitive and give space to the unheard voices. Not forgetting the quote of the day.
We are live on our social media platforms, The Alternative Uganda on Facebook, YouTube and Twitter from Monday to Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Don't miss the debate behind the wheels and studios.
I am Edgar Mathewe Karuhanga
and Princess Luwe Delidian.
Expect in-depth analysis, credible, factual and authentic information. We are the Alternative DigiTalk.
Real issues, real talk.
The Alternative DigiTalk. Real issues, real talk.
Yes, welcome back from that short commercial break. You are still watching the Mighty Drive show. The page is at the Alternative Uganda, that is on Facebook, and we are of course on YouTube as well. So feel free to just drop in those comments and I'll be reading many of them for you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much from wherever you're watching from. It's still cold, so anybody who's coming in Kampala, feel free to get yourself a jacket, get yourself an umbrella, get yourself masked up because it looks like it's going to be a very cold day. But remember, this is the Pearl of Africa, and the Pearl of Africa calls for surprises. It may rain right now, isn't it 8? By midday, you will see the sun blazing high in the sky. That is the beauty of the Pearl of Africa. So for those who have just joined in, we are talking about the economic crisis in the country, and we are going in a realm of its work in the political spectrum. Can this spark off something that Ugandans have been anticipating for a long time now? That is the topical discussion of the day. Feel free to just send in those comments. You can also DM us, it's okay. And if you want to work with the Alternative DigiTalk, feel free to just call in or call us and just talk to us in case you want to advertise with us, you want us to organize your show, you want us to live stream your show, you want us to shoot your show and edit for you. Anything that you would want us to do for you, feel free. Just feel free to call in live and in fact call in to our programs director, that is Mokose Arnold Anthony. His number is 0701-800-212. He will be able to work on you in that regard. Rogers Tulyahabwe, from where we broke off from, I was telling you, I was asking you, can this spark off a revolution that many Ugandans have been waiting? Because I've started seeing those lamentations and assertions that this can spark off a revolution. Rogers, do you believe?
No, I don't believe it.
Why don't you believe it?
Because the same issue is it's not just happening in Uganda. In Lebanon, Beirut, the same crisis, fuel shortages are happening as we speak.
But are they as bizarre as ours?
Well, ours, the issue is not on the
and do we have to wait do we have to wait for the other ones to also do a revolution?
No, they will not, because crises like this happen over time. We have had in countries where there has been a crisis of drought. Would you say people should strike because there's drought? Because
drought is a
natural cause.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Drought is natural.
Exactly. But so crises don't necessarily have to lead to revolution. In the UK, the same issue was happening last year in September and October, thereabout. For about 2 weeks, they also did not have, there was shortage of fuel and all this, gasoline and petrol and all that. So I think, and by the way, their issues were almost related to ours. Theirs had also something to do with the drivers. I think they were all for something. Something was also happening along about drivers. I'm not so sure about that. But it was almost related to what we have right now. And theirs was also a problem of panic buying. Apparently, a report from the cabinet leaked that there would be shortages. So people went, like everyone would go to jerrycans to a petrol station, buy like 1,000 liters and take home. So with a lot of people doing those, that means obviously that they would run out of fuel. So it's the same problem that was happening. So I don't think something that has happened, not just here, can really spark a revolution. I don't believe it should be a cause of a revolution.
But we have seen it cause many revolutions. The price of bread and fuel in Sudan was what ousted Umar Bashir from power.
That's right.
In Algeria, Bouteflika, same story. So you want to say that Ugandans don't have any chance?
No, usually revolutions are not a spark of a single cause. So it doesn't just happen because there is
actually they just need a spark. That's what I'm saying. Because normally, like we have seen everything has happened. But what is missing is just that is going to spark off the last straw that broke the camel's back.
Your point is this, that we have dissatisfied people who have had a lot of issues with probably the leaders, that this could be a spark. So the issue is not that fuel crisis is going to spark it. It's that it could be one of those issues that might spark a revolution. But a standalone, I don't really think a fuel crisis can spark. As
what else could spark, bro?
Anything else.
If it's not the prices of fuel.
Alone, what I'm saying, alone, it cannot spark a crisis. I don't really think it can spark a revolution. A fuel crisis alone. Coupled with others, that's another debate altogether. Because obviously the grievances of the people are not just about the fuel crisis, but a multitude of other causes
that have been
happening that would lead, the fuel crisis being just one of those, of the spark. But I don't think alone in isolation can spark a crisis.
Okay, maybe lastly, as we are ending this debate about the economic crisis, what should we do as a society, as a country? Chicho tugamba, chiche tuba tuzaako kati. Kubanga otulabiranga amafuta geeyongedde, buli kimu kyeyongedde, ebbeeyi y'ebyensimbi yekanamye ate ekisinga okuluma. By'amaguzi byeyongera. Naye ate omusaala gwo tegweyongera. It is the constant factor.
But if the economy is bad, what would you expect from Sada to kweyonge? So I think basically the issue is there are things that are really usually out of hand for certain people. This is basically left in the hands of the government. So I would think that the responsible ministry, does their job. Moving forward, this crisis has happened. What we should do is just try to minimize the crisis, try to maybe try to intensify the rate at which they are doing the COVID vaccination of the truck drivers, so that at least in a short while, we are able to revive, we are able to get the fuel. But in the long run, I think the government should just prioritize planning, as opposed to attack, a miscellaneous problem solution. Waiting for the problem to happen, and that is when we stand up and say, hey, this has happened, we need a problem, we need a solution. So we don't have to sit to be just office occupiers. We need to plan for the country. So we just need leaders to stand up and do the job for which they are set to do, they are supposed to be doing. The people are only thriving on the decisions that these few people make. So if they don't plan, obviously we are going to expect a lot of this, and then eventually now that issue of revolution might happen, because then it will be a problem upon a problem upon a problem, and then that means people will want a change in leadership, and if they want a change in leadership, a revolution is probably paramount.
Okay,
so that's my idea.
Maybe just to read a couple of comments. Guys, feel free to also join the conversation. We're talking about the economic crisis in the country. Bwetubuli echicho olowooza ku embeera y'ebyensimbi ey'ekanami mu ggwanga lya Uganda. Otwogeranga ekitumula kati kiri ku nnusu bisatu bya Uganda. Otwogeranga bintu bingi, transport, alinya amafuta ga bbeeyi, ebyokusoma bya bbeeyi, uniform z'abaana banena uniform ya mitwalo 4, sweater, mpale, saati ne sportswear mitwalo 4. Tugenda kubakuba, nze mbabuulira mu ab'amasomero tugenda kubakuba, because sometimes mukisuse ekyuma kyange kiri wano kyekyanga naye kansomeyo emu. Ono Nabukeera Teddy agamba, we should just pack our cars home and start walking to work, taking our kids in boarding schools, because the crisis of fuel we won't handle, and yet I'm sure it's here to stay. It's not going anytime soon. Abana tebakyalina kukkiriza.
There's the problem. That's also losing like confidence in leadership, because when you feel there's a problem and the problem is not going anywhere, it means we have a leadership crisis actually. Because then we don't believe the leaders, the people who should be making decisions that are going to move us, are not capable of doing that. The leaders, if the leaders are not capable, it means the people are losing their faith in them. Again, we are going back to your issue. Revolutions are possible. And Brock Williams, I don't want to capitalize on revolutions. Crises happen every time.
Okay. And Brock Williams also said Black Jesus should help Ugandans on this crisis of fuel prices.
Black Jesus? Do we have a Black Jesus?
I don't know. We have DJ Black Jesus. And maybe lastly, Teresa Blessy says, me, I used to hate the Bujanja aunties and uncles hard. Thank God for today. Some people don't want.
Those are people who are now. They are glad we are in this generation.
Thank you so much. It was awanange ensonga ya economic crisis tusoke tugiteeke wali mu muluka. Twogere ku KCCA ne ba vendors ab'obutale. Okuva guno omwaka nga gutandika, KCCA ebadde eyogera, in fact yatandika okwogera last year, ng'egamba abatembeeyi abatundira ebintu ku nguudo nti bannaye temugenda kukikola mu mwaka gwa 2022. 2022 ekisanja akuna mu schedule abantu bazze kukola, so tebagenda kukkiriza ba vendors bonna okubanga batundira ebyamaguzi byabwe ku kkubo. Kino kyaleetawo n'olutalo nno lwe twalaba mu mwaka guno gwennyini ng'ab'obutale beekuba n'aba KCCA. UPDF yajja n'etaasa, twalabanga abantu nga 5 aba KCCA, abakozi ba KCCA baakubwa era baavaawo nga bayiika musaayi. Abamu ku ba vendors nga bagamba tebagenda kuva ku bbala, nga bagamba nabo balina osasula school fees, basasula omusolo ate banna Uganda. Rogers, the state of Kampala city is very bad. Wetwogera nga jamu afuuse jamu, enguudo bagezezaako kukola ku nguudo so zigenda kuwakana. Enguudo bagezezaako z'okuzikola naye era mukyalimu ezina potholes, which is normal. Aba boda tebasobola respectinga bitaala, bo bali above the law in this country. Wetwogera nga KCC and Kampala as a city, which is not one of the cities you are going to say that I'm proud of Kampala. Kampala kavuyo kerere. Rogers Tulyahabwe. Maybe nga maliriza. Era ekiri e Kampala wano nti ebintu ebyekekanama ebyebbeeyi byonna bitandikidde wano. Ekibuga kyaffe tukitereeza tutya in 2022.
So is the issue that the people are being chased from the road, or is the issue that how do we get our city better? Because one is a cause of another.
Yes.
The only way we get the city better is by making it structured, where you don't just come with your property, no take a kukuba, not turn it out.
But then we have to also appreciate that we have people in the city who pay their taxes.
Yes.
We have Ugandans who need to also sell and have a living of their own.
Structured. Okay, here is the thing. You see, development and
Mumogera oluzungu lungi olwa structured.
okay, kyentegeeza kiri bwe kiti. Most growth and development does not just happen, you know, in a break of a day. It's a process. And usually, it's not a process that is so comfortable. It's a discomfort kind of process. So, Bobo yagala Kampala to wake up one day and look like London or New York. It doesn't just happen. It means people who are street vendors are going to find the structure. I mean, is that the only thing that the government can do, what they are doing, what chasing them away is not a problem. Not providing a solution is a problem. Yeah,
that is the
so
thing.
If the people
because
are being
I'm
chased
looking,
from the road,
by the way, you're looking at this from the vendor's perspective. But tomorrow, I'm anticipating another fight between not only the vendors, but it's now going to be between the borders and the state. Because even as you look, there is a very, very intentional plan of the borders leaving the country, leaving Kampala city.
For making the city better. Yes.
But how do you make the city better? N'abantu bayo nabo bataddemu into consideration. You introduce buses, no yagala ogobe taxi. We have a very intentional way of our leaders trying to solve problems, but solving them in the wrong way. Yes, your goal is right, but how you're doing it is wrong.
Well, how they are doing it is not wrong.
It is right.
The plan
That's
is
what
wrong.
you're trying to say.
The approach is just, okay, basically it goes
getting
back to
things and bundling them into the Karuhanga and beating people.
That is not an issue. If there was another plan, no, if that wouldn't be an issue. If the government had probably an alternative, saying that for example, you know, hawkers and those people, street vendors who are in the city, we are designating markets for you to sell these things.
Rogers.
Now parking their things in Kabangali won't have been an issue.
Okay.
Yeah, because then there is a place that these people are refusing to go. Now the problem is the government is not providing that place where they should go. Yes? And there is no structured way of, if you want to do business in Kampala city, here the procedures, these are the requirements. It's open, it's free market.
No, it is there.
Is it implemented?
These hawkers are registered. And Rogers, you're talking about markets. I want to remind you, as this gentleman was coming into power come 2026, he commissioned different markets in the different parts of this country. And Kampala was fortunate to be one of those, where we received the one Degea market. I even still up to now ask myself, why did they have to make one Degea the biggest market? First of all, it is in a setting of students. We know students are broke. It is an environment where people are used to just going and drinking and eating chicken. And how do you expect people who are eating chicken to enter the markets and look for these vendors? And on top of that, the stalls are very expensive. It is the same with the Usafi market. It looks like we have an intentional plan, but we're doing things. The
plan,
like, okay, let me give you another example. We had a very good plan of saying, let us create a street where non-motorized people will be, passing. That means bikes. I'm meaning bikes of Bugari, and human beings couple. Osanga Rogers netted nga hand in hand, but mkutambula kuna Mirembe Road. Nayo beroli kuna Mirembe Road ngotambula hand in hand, or boda na kuvembeka na kuba. You get, like, in fact, in all places, the most convenient place where the KCCA or the district planners, where they saw that this is a very good place to design a walk in a park kind of style, the London style, was in the middle of the city center. Wakati wa Kampala, like the central business district, where everybody is on a hurry, there's no time for walking with your girlfriend. And instead of taking such a beautiful scenery to maybe uptown Kampala, do it along Buganda Road. Don't you see?
So the problem is
the math is not math.
What you're saying is true.
You're planning, people are also planning wrong.
The problem is the plan. Chasing the people away from Kampala, it's just a wrong time of doing that. But it's not a wrong thing to do. This is why I think so. Ordinarily, if, like I said, if there were structures, which you're also agreeing to, if there were structures, you know that the business center is downtown, the uptown is offices, and you know, that kind of structure. So that you know, if you want to buy anything, there is a specific location for that. Yeah? It's a commercial center, it's the business center, where people can shop anything and everything. Now, another side is where your offices should be. Because a capital city is not just about having a lot of people everywhere. That's not the idea. So the plan should be that there is a location for specific things in the city.
Isn't that the thing?
To avoid
electronics ogenda kumutasa. So I think it's already there.
So no, it's not there. Because
it is there.
No, you can I find
you know you're going to get
can I find electronics in Mulago?
No, what I'm saying, we already know the city is structured in a way that if you want scholastic materials, Chikubo is there. If you want food, Owino is there. If you want, what else? If you want, what are some of those things?
Can I find scholastic materials in Kololo? Somewhere in Kololo?
No, you can find it. If you want...
is it possible to find them there?
Phones, you go to, you know, different
I can find scholastic, I can find phones in Mulago.
No,
I can find scholastic materials in Kololo. I can find anything anywhere. What you're saying is a grand scale. That the mutasas and the chikubos are where you can get something big. What I am saying is, if Kololo should be an official center, a site where government offices or people's offices should be located, you don't just go and buy a plastic thing somewhere around. Because obviously it's going to be a site specifically for certain kind of business. Now, where we are, we can find anything anywhere that's unstructured. It's where we can find those hawkers and peddlers and what are they called, street vendors. Anywhere, I can find them anywhere around Kampala, which is the problem. Now the planning should be that a specific location is designed for specific kind of business.
Which they were doing with Usafi.
Which they have
but
not
we have
done.
seen even the citizens have deliberately also refused.
And now what do you expect of cases here?
No, I'm saying, we the buyers, Karuhanga, I won't want to go to Usafi. Yet Usafi is the designated market.
No, I don't agree with you.
No, I'm telling you,
I don't agree
our
with
viewers,
no,
but tumalempaka. Ogende Usafi, mazima ogenda mu Usafi no ogenda ali mu city center. Onalagawa.
Dwacha ogenda mu city center, ochimanyi dwachi? Because you have made city center available. It goes to planning. If you plan that you can only get a specific thing in Usafi, you want to go to city center. So it's an issue of planning. The people are following what is there. I wouldn't go from here if I want something in large quantities that I can get in Chukubo. You don't find me looking for it in Kololo. Yeah. So if we make Usafi a center of a certain thing, and maybe one day a market a center of a certain thing, and another center of a certain thing, I won't be going to another place looking for what I can only find in one day. So it's a problem of planning and structure. It's structuring. So it's not a problem of the people. Because ordinarily, I know that I can get a certain thing anywhere. That is why I can go anywhere I want. But if I knew that a specific location is designed for a specific item that I can only get from that area, I wouldn't be going looking for it in a different area. So it's not a problem of the people. It's a problem of the planning. And even when those markets are made available, the reason why I'm saying that it's not so bad of an idea to chase those people from the road is that even when the markets are designated, those that are in Wandege and the Wasafi, those people don't want to go there. They still want to come to the road because they know they have a clear access to the people. But when they go to those places and the people can't find them on the road, they will look for them.
Okay.
So sometimes it's not bad of an idea. It's just that there has not been a good plan. But the idea
But
is
then,
good.
Mr. Rogers, maybe to just speak your point or your mind, we have vendors and hawkers. A hawker is a gentleman who's going to move all day. Anywhere. He is not going to be stationed anywhere. He is just moving. We have hawkers in London. We have hawkers in New York. We have hawkers in... Yes. In London, in New York, my God. It's like you saying there are no beggars there. There are hawkers, there are beggars. The difference with their style of hawking is this. They have, it's like kind of something with a wheel. So they put their clothes there and they move with their wheel. But dear, the thing is, amanjagala bana Uganda batulaba. Abazungu kye batusinga ko kimu. Nti bo bamanyi okweka ebintu bya balaga birungi byerere. They have beggars, they have hawkers, they have vendors, they have people who do these things. Yes. Those things, it's a story for next time. But Rogers.
It's like I said, it's a good thing to do, but it's a wrong time to do it. So ideally, the issue should be that if there is a regulation, even in the UK that you're saying and in New York, if there are those hawkers, there is a way they walk, and they don't just walk everywhere. You understand? So it's also possible that if we had a plan in place, and that plan was facilitated, and we made the ideas available for all those people wouldn't be anywhere and everywhere. So hawking wouldn't be a problem. But it would be an issue that is allocated in a specific region and area for that specific matter. Do you find hawking in everywhere in New York? It's also there, but in specific areas. That's the same I was saying, that if we made the downtown a city center, the business center, it would be okay to hawk in the downtown. Because you expect customers to be there. And if you don't have money to rent a place, you can, peddle your things. Yeah? So it wouldn't have been a problem. But here we don't have that specific allocation of, product and resources. It's where you find a phone booth in Kololo when it's probably not supposed to be there.
You can find a mobile money.
Money there. But
then we are decentralizing powers. That means some people will not be needing to come to the central business district.
Why wouldn't they?
Because they have someone who's bringing the product close to them. They have no step.
Shouldn't that be the issue? Because now even the generation where we are, we have people who are selling things who don't even have shops. I have my online thing. All I know is there is someone who needs, for example, a suit. I know I can use my social media handles to show that I sell suits. I don't have to show that I don't have a shop. So someone is going to tap on that and say, oh, I need that suit. And he will say, I will deliver it. So that means we will stop the congestion of everyone going everywhere looking for everything.
Okay.
So where we centralize the business center down, it means that those uptown either can go downtown, or these people will, in an orderly way, deliver these things to the uptown. So that means we won't have this kavuyo of you have a border of you have your girlfriend omkwata kumkono muntu abatomera. That means business will be a little bit effective and simpler to do anywhere. Because there is an orderly way of doing things. Okay,
Rogers Tulyahabwe. That is Rogers Tulyahabwe. He's a lawyer, journalist, and of course a member of the Alternative DigiTalk. 30 minutes past the top of the hour, we are still talking about the economic crisis in this country. And in this regard, we are talking about, the challenge between KCCA and the vendors, and the challenge of Kampala as a district. Kampala as a central business district is one of the most dissatisfying places you can actually do business from, starting with the congestion, starting with the feuds and the conflicts between personnel and the personnel of KCCA and the people themselves. What is happening in this country, and what is the solution to these various challenges? I'm reading a couple of your messages, but it is really, really so, it's not good. People are bringing tribalism in this case. There's a lady called Nache Rita. She says, if the crisis was about water in Ankole, where their cattle would be affected, it would have been solved long ago. But since it is fuel, and most of them don't buy fuel out of their pockets, instead they buy from Ugandan taxes, they are not affected and have moved with your cries.
No. Naturally, I don't agree.
And I've heard this narrative and rhetoric being reiterated that Boba ina kadiza with amafuta.
No. Now let me, Rita, let's put this into perspective. Ankole is a region, like you see Uganda. Okay, let me use an example of Uganda. We have Uganda Kingdom, right? It's for all Uganda. Would you say that every Uganda benefits from what Uganda is getting?
No.
So Ankole... Exactly. In Ankole, there are those in the state who are beneficiaries of those reserves that he's saying, the cards he's saying. But not everyone who lives in Ankole is a beneficiary. And mark you, droughts happen in Ankole, and there are usually water shortages. So it's not an issue, and you find a solution.
And people in Ankole are actually poor.
You will find a solution on your own. You have to dig a dam where you know that it is sustainable enough to go through a drought. A government is not going to come because...
dig a dam, Rogers? A dam?
Okay, we call them, what is that called? Water reserves. Tuzita dam. Is amazi was like osima like a water whatever catchment area. It goes so deep.
Eringa gondi, what you call Zinozinga's ponds.
Yeah, it's more like a pond, but on a grand scale. Big. Okay, well,
diction, the choice of words.
The perspective you have. Well, some people don't really know those things.
Yes.
But that's the idea I'm trying to say. So people find their own solution sometimes. It's not that because the leader of the government is situated in that location, everyone is okay. It's not true.
There are many people who are pushing the narrative.
And I think it's a wrong narrative to say that the people who live in Ankole are beneficiaries of state resources. That's not true. Because, I mean, I am not an advocate.
Also, Norman was talking about that in one of the comments here. Just that my internet is failing me. But Norman was also talking about it. In a sense that there are people, if it was affecting the people from the West, they would actually be...
I don't agree. I don't really think it's an idea. There are certain, if they specifically said, if they were affecting certain people in the West, certain, because there are people who are actually not affected, who actually have the cards. But not everyone, so it's not a region
the Gambano goes
it's not a region
this country.
Yes.
But you see, it's such things that are going to fuel conflict in the future. You know that?
But it's not... I don't really agree.
Don't you think?
I don't agree with the notion of a region. I don't agree with that.
What do you mean by... okay, the thing is, but we should accept the narrative.
Then
there are gunmen from the West who came and took over the country.
Not only the West. Everyone... Are you trying to say that the government is only comprised of people from the West?
I've not said that.
Until when you say that people from the West are the beneficiaries, you're trying to say that the only people who are...
I've not said that. I'm just saying these are some of the comments of Ugandans. And my cue, you can go to some institutions in this country, and starting from the receptionist to the top boss, they're from the West.
And there are offices you'll go to where the reception to the top boss are from a specific other region.
No?
Yes.
It's very rare, my
It's
brother.
rare, but doesn't mean it's not there.
Very rare.
So it's not a problem. The issue is not that there are people from the West. I agree. But it's not the whole West. That's the problem.
That is true. That is very
true.
So
you cannot
and I'm also debunking what they are saying, that people from Ankole, if it was a crisis in Ankole...
Yeah, exactly. That's also what
I'm also
saying.
Debunking.
It's not an issue of the region. But it's an issue of certain people in the region. But to some extent,
we should say that it was a targeted... I don't know. I feel like... Let me just sometimes you have to have a line
it's not
between journalism and the truth.
And opinion.
And opinions.
I'm not a believer of the truth. I'm one of those people. I don't really think there's some universal truth. It's a matter of belief.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the problem of KCCA and the vendors, as we come to the end of that discussion, bro, how should the government deal with it?
The government should just make a plan.
They have made the plans. It just shows that their plans sometimes don't reflect.
Have they made the plans?
Yes.
Which plans?
They made the plans of renovating and building the parks.
Where?
No, I'm talking about those roads. I don't know how they're called. The non-motorized roads.
No, here is a thing.
They have done those things. They have tried to, create the markets.
They have not allocated them. The markets, how many markets have they created?
They created many markets across the country.
No, in Kampala, this issue seems to be central.
In Kampala, we have like 2 markets.
So do we really need only 2? A Kampala place that is home of...
But there are various malls growing up in this country.
Is it 7 million people live in only Kampala? So I think 2 markets, really? So I think the issue should be that they make those markets available, and then you can tell people to relocate.
Do you know we have
if they fail, malls, you can now...
Do you know we have more malls than markets in this country?
Yeah, we probably...
And malls that are underused.
Because they are for specific classes of people.
Classes of people.
Yes.
And those classes are not prevalent in this country so much.
So the solution is plan. Know which should be the priority. Know what
because
the
now
majority
I'm looking
use.
At every time I pass at Arena Mall every day, I'm like, did we need that mall? How did we actually get a mall on public land?
How often have you even gone to a mall to buy something?
I have never entered Arena.
So I think they should look at the priorities, the majority in this case. It is good to have malls. We are not saying it's bad. But
how many people
use malls? how many people use malls should be an issue.
You know,
so
we have a
of markets.
Rogers, we have a
is going to be
planning
the only
problem
solution.
in this country that I think we need to address, because I don't know what the Ministry for Planning does. Rogers, we have a country that has just released 67 billion. I'm not sure. It's either 62 or 67 billion for the renovation of Nambole, Mandela National Stadium. Let me just make for you a quick calculation. St. Mary's Chitende took $1 million. $1 million, that is 3.8 billion.
About, yeah.
It built a stadium like St. Mary's Chitende that is officiating matches by CAF and FIFA. You are investing 62 billion in Enambole, renovating it.
How many
stadiums would you build with 67 billion?
How big is Uganda's currency? On a global scale, here is why I'm asking that. You have the what is that? Express being the most expensive in the world.
In the world.
Yeah. So I think you have the answer. The problem is not that we need to build the stadium. The problem is that we are stealing from the country, from the state, from the people.
I don't know if it's stealing. But the gentlemen have allocated 67 billion for renovation of Nambole.
Renovation and not even building from scratch. That's the thing.
That's what I'm saying. Renovation of Nambole. But in 67 billion, you would renovate Nambole. You would renovate, you would renovate Chitende. Okay, I'm looking at what we have now.
You would even build the Namboles, right? 3 of them.
Yes, that's what I'm saying, or 4 or 5.
Or even 10.
The thing is this, look, we have a country that has allocated all that money for renovation of one arena.
And it's almost 2
million. And they have not, there's this gentleman who's helping us, Lawrence Mulindwa. Mulindwa, who is the head of Vipers, the owner of St. Mary's. So if Mulindwa woke up today and said, I've woke up on the wrong side of the bed, I am not giving my stadium to anyone, we won't play CAF.
Yes.
We have to host our games from Kenya.
And he built it single-handedly.
And these people don't have the cheap decency of saying, how then do we invest in this gentleman to help us build more arenas like this? Or how do we renovate Chitende? Because when we renovate Chitende, the whole region of Chitende is growing. When there is an arena in Chitende, and the road's really, because if you see the road that goes to St. Mary's Chitende.
Isn't Chitende a private?
Yeah, it's a school. It's a school, but it also has a stadium.
So it's private?
It is Mulindwa Stadium.
So we cannot.
Government is one agamba, katukwate tuteleze enguudo ezigenda ku St. Mary's Chitende. Because when you look at Kakolansi kava ku luguudo paka ku ssomero kakoma ku ssomero lya St. Mary's ekisaawe kiri maaso okutuuka ku kisaawe oyita mu ttaka. I'm like, if you developed this, the region is developing the one of Chitende. Chitende is developing as a whole.
We are going around the problem. The problem is
we are
avoiding the problem.
Is not getting
we are avoiding the problem.
And we are building
misappropriating money.
Yes, sir.
Building the road is a state mandate. It shouldn't be because there is a pitch there. They should build the road nevertheless.
But and how much if the pitch was there?
Don't they pay this gentleman when the host match is there?
Yeah, they do.
So
they're wasting money.
An addition of that money would actually renovate Nambole. So 62 is almost $2 million. Honestly speaking, that is too much. So basically, what we are going around the problem, we should build roads to Chitende and whichever those pitches are. We should just face the problem that they are misappropriating resources. But what they are allocating is way too much, more than what we need.
The priority
$5 billion, I mean 5 billion Uganda shillings are enough to renovate Nambole. Because we basically have everything in place. It's just structuring everything.
Putting seats. If you want to make it look in Muluvuka Wagamba sexier, do that. Put on the seats.
It's renovating, for God's sake. It's not building. It's just, I think just what we need is, we need to stop, misappropriating state resources. Because, we have crisis enough. We have the economy dying already. I mean, it's problem enough for us to.
And in that regard, maybe to just remind you, State House got 101% increment in the budget. They want 891 billion 230 of that money, 230 billion will be for...
I heard part of that money was pledges that President
That
was
is what I'm saying. 230 billion was for the pledges he made from 1986. So when Museveni came to Rogers and said, I'm going to give you 10,000, and he didn't give you, State House is going to pay.
No. Does the president make those pledges as the president or as himself?
That is what I'm saying. Where do we say these are Tibuhaura's promises? These are the president's.
Draw the line. Exactly.
These are the president's promises.
We need to draw a line between the person of the president and Mr. Museveni.
And the office of the president.
And the office of the president. And Mr. Museveni as an individual. When in countries, people make pledges, that's right. But are you making the pledge as the president of Uganda in that capacity, or are you making the pledge as a person? You're probably appreciating someone for doing something.
That is what I'm also asking myself. So which ones are we paying for?
We don't know.
We're just paying for
because
promises.
They have not made it clear.
If Mukulu promised Chedi, I want to give you 2 cows, and he did.
State House will give her 2 cows.
State House will give her 2 cows.
Yep. That's basically what we are doing.
Ani afuge gwanga lino.
Gentlemen, nowadays bagamba
ani afuge gwanga lino bannange. Ndoza ngenda kubanga maliriza kansoke ndabe wano ku messages mu wanange. His messages are really disturbing me today. I don't know if it's because JJ Jacob says, how would we minimize the crisis with the existing corrupted dictators? Thank you for the show. I think people are driving this thing political.
Because everything happens has a political will. By political will, actually. So the quality of people you have determine the kind of work you get. Yeah, we were talking about, you saw that thing of they want to impeach the Chabazinga of Usoga. The ground is one that the people in the region purportedly think he's not doing what he should be doing.
Oh, they are just... they gave some reasons. Let me read them for you, Mr. Tulyahabwe, because you've brought us to the next discussion that we are supposed to have. They say the chiefs who convened in Iganga municipality on Friday listed 8 reasons for dethroning Nadiope, including his alleged failure to unite royal chiefs, refusal to stay in the kingdom's official palace at Igenge Hill, decline to leave the throne after 5 years as agreed during his election in 2014, personalization of kingdom properties, and refusal to give the chiefdoms their loyalties. 6 out of the 11 Busoga hereditary chiefs entrusted with the work of electing Chawazika have voted out Prince William Nadiope Gabula Wilberforce the 4th. Bakwadde ensonga munana.
So answering JJ's question, can we impeach some people in this country?
Parliamentary system.
We should be impeaching some people. Because, those guys actually have a good reason. They have good reasons. They are chiefs, they're representatives of the people.
But are they valid enough?
No, they
looks like it's personal vendetta.
Yeah, it might be. But where it is actually an issue, it is a problem that they are facing, it is their kingdom. It's not an individual's kingdom. It's not about the king, it's about the kingdom. So if he's not doing better for the people, he should be impeached. And this has happened.
He is a cultural leader, Rogers.
Yes. He was elected, by the way, if you must remember. He was elected.
But he's not supposed to be elected.
Exactly. So if their system says he's elected, that means he can be impeached.
6 out of 11, that means there is only 7.
Apparently, actually, you mentioned about the personal vendetta. There's this gentleman, another gentleman, Wambuzi, who was also a king of that region, I think in 2008. But apparently he was dethroned because he didn't have, I think apparently he didn't have enough quorum when he was being elected. 10 out of 11 people were present of the chiefs that should be, electing him. And he has had some personal vendetta and said he will work tirelessly to make sure that this gentleman doesn't survive. So that's as far as personal vendetta is going. But where they have a system that a king, their sovereign, is elected into office, it makes it possible that they have a constitution, they have laws they are following, breach of which necessitates impeachment, which is what they are doing. So, which is the same that should apply to this country. if we have an office, if we have the laws that determine the office of the people, if the people who are in the offices are not doing sufficiently enough for the people who are putting them in office, they should be impeached.
Simple.
We should have that system. It's that simple.
So
if Gabola is not doing, if it's not personal vendetta, and Gabola is actually not doing better for the people of Busoga, I mean, it's a decision to make, but if he's not serving the people, he should be.
Okay, thank you so much, Roger Stripe. We have 5 minutes to go, and these 5 minutes, I want to dedicate them to AFCON. Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking the African Cup of Nations that is live in Cameroon. It is one of the most interesting, the most interesting AFCON tournaments that you would want to watch. Yesterday, there was a shocker. In fact, there were shockers. In fact, from the time AFCON has started, we have seen shockers.
Yeah,
Yesterday, Equatorial Guinea came and hammered and thrashed and beat the defending champions Algeria. These boys played beautiful football yesterday. And it was the same story. Ivory Coast led, they led Sierra Leone 2 goals down. Sierra Leone came and equalized, and it ended 2-2. Ivory Coast is one of the creme de la creme on the African continent.
Boys are playing.
Boys are playing football.
Yes.
We saw the same with Senegal. Senegal drew with, I've forgotten. But over time, I have seen that in this AFCON, Charles Romishana would say Power Tarikaba. My God. It is interesting. Gabon came and equalized Ghana in the 90th minute. We are seeing shockers.
We also made a history.
Riyad Mahrez was there.
We also made history in the history of football as Africa. And you see, usually
we made
a problem that happens in one of the African countries becomes a problem of Africa.
Yes.
The gentleman who ended the match at 85th minute.
They say...
Boys recorded it. It is the first in history. Guys were making scenarios. This guy had an appointment. 85, they are going away, you can come.
Now no. But look, I don't want us to look. Africa. Continent.
Yeah.
Ngabagamba bichibiye mukole ebyo tournament. You guys,
they put up a good game this time.
We are seeing in terms of the game quality.
Yes.
AFCON. Tomorrow I'm going to, I think, detail AFCON. In my updates, I'll just detail AFCON. Because Rogers, abana mu AFCON abana basambi omupiira, abana basambi omupiira mulungi. Emawanga ga Africa tewakyali ggwanga lyozalawa, abantu basambira ddala.
Where are we? Uganda.
Uganda byatulema okugendamu. But in terms of the games, they are really, really nice games. They are intense games. Yeah. They are very, very fruitful games. Twalabye Algeria katotwogera nga balina point edge. They are the last mu kibinja. Defending champions, atenga beba champions by the Arab Cup. I think like 3 weeks ago. Ekyandetedde okuloza mbu maybe fatigue eno. Because abaana balina engeri gye basambamu omupiira. And you guys, I am predicting here that the team that is going to win may not be a champion that has won before. Cameroon might be, because Cameroon, okay, is a giant in Africa, because Cameroon is playing, Cameroon is scoring. Cameroon, they have Abubakar. Abubakar has become Abubakar. Abubakar has 4 goals in 2 games, just to remind you. So, nze kyendowooza nti AFCON yo tugenda laba omuntu awangula omupya. Because kati wali timu gy'ozalawa, tugenda gamba muzize kuba maybe Sierra Leone. Because Sierra Leone yajjako amaliri ku Algeria. Equatorial Guinea sena akuba Algeria mulamba. Ate Algeria omupiira gwabwe ogusembayo bagenda kuzanya Cote d'Ivoire. Kati Cote d'Ivoire genda kibuga.
Boys, even when you see most of the African countries now have international players.
All team we
could also say that there's some little bit of importation of good skills.
Even the style
which
of
will
play.
It will help us.
If you see the style
of playing has drastically changed from what it was.
That it's like
you would see
we are playing white man football.
Yes.
It's
professional football.
It's not the football we are used to, the football of Africa. Karuhanga na bijanjalo. Roger, sibula bakolero nakulala to the one.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being a part of being with us, driving along, making it a date every morning, every day, every week, to be with us and to make sure to add a little bit of a block on the growth and development of this country. I gave my opinions as an individual. They are not, I wouldn't say professional, but there are ways that I look at things as an individual. And owing to a little bit of research and history that has been here and there. But we want to thank you. We don't take you for granted. And as for the issues that are happening for the fuel crisis, I hope that our leaders really prioritize planning in future to avoid the miscellaneous happenings of events as such as this. The others that are happening, we can handle. Otherwise, for God and my country. Thank you so much.
Wow, thank you so much, Rogers Tulyahabwe, and thank you so much to our viewers who have made it, very, very possible for us to work here on this cold morning. As I told you, if you are coming in town, feel free to get yourself a jacket, a jumper, or an umbrella, because it's really, really raining cats and dogs right here. Thank you so much to my producer, Teddy Tenjo. Thank you to Jeremiah Muchibi. Thank you to Arnold Mukose Anthony. Thank you. And to everybody who has been watching, thank you. Tonight, the hotline will be returning at 7 p.m. up to 9 p.m. Comrade Tiff will be there for you. And of course, tomorrow, we shall be here as the Mighty Drive. On Wednesday, we are still here. On Thursday, the Escalating comes through. And of course, we are also here. And maybe Thursday, we shall be having the Flora Flow. Yes, by Teddy Tenjo Nabukena, it will also be the Fancy Flow, not Flora, but the Fancy Flow by Teddy Amanya. But Fancy Flow will be coming on Thursday, that is at 8:30, coming soon. Then on Friday, we have the Voltage Show that comes through. That is at 7 to 9 p.m. On Saturday, Snap Talk is there. And the Health Hub by Anita Musimenta will be also happening and airing very, very soon at 11 a.m. That is on a Saturday. And on Sunday, Edisori Omukuru still returns. Thank you so much to everybody who has watched. Thank you to people who have sent in those messages. And thank you to everybody. Let's meet tomorrow. I'm going to make a special edition tomorrow. We're talking about the AFCON and how the AFCON has gone down from the time it started up to now. We're having the creme de la creme on the African continent showcase what they have got installed for you. And maybe lastly to tell you, Uganda Cranes is not in the AFCON, but that is not a surprise. We had gone 38 years without going to the AFCON. Did we die? We didn't die. See you tomorrow. Good morning, Uganda.
Alternative DigiTalk. Real issues, real talk.